Hey guys, I am back down at Varu today. Now Varu, as you know, makes some amazing titanium bikes. Made a video before with James. James is a good friend of mine, he runs Varu and they make some excellent titanium bikes. But there's been a few exciting updates. James has moved into a new premises and there are a few new bikes that I want to talk to you and we're going to ask James about today. So I thought what we'd do is take you on a little bit of a tour of his new premises and we'll look at some of the new bikes and some of the new offerings that Varu have at the moment. So let's do this. Okay James, so we have got the Varu distance road bike. Tell us a little bit about this, because this is quite exciting.
It is. This is called the MPA, which stands for miles per annum. Gives you a bit of a clue as to what it does. Slightly more relaxed geometry than the Octane or the V8 that's in our range. It can have bigger tyres. So we've got in here at the moment a 25C tyres, but you can go up to a 32C tyre without a mudguard, or you can run 28C tyres and a full mudguard as well. So obviously you can run it all through the winter. The forks that we've got are 378mm axle to crown, so it's still road bike geometry, road bike setup. And the good thing with this as well is that we've got here where the cables go into it, there's different shields that you can pop in and out for different setups. So if you've got a Di2 setup, for example, you can put a Di2 piece in there, or run the hydraulic cable through there, or mechanical cables. So it's quite versatile in terms of what you can do with this bike. So yeah, generally long distance. A lot of my customers that have bought them, some have done Land's End to John O'Groats on them. My last customer came over from Belgium and he rode it back from where we are today back to Belgium straight away. So it's a comfortable distance road bike.
And I think you can. This would be a really nice bike to run frame bags on. I know a lot of people are running frame bags now.
Yeah.
Especially when I cycle around the UK, obviously I used the Varu 6.8, didn't I, the road bike.
Yeah.
But this is the ideal touring bike now.
Yeah, so on this one I've kept more of a horizontal top tube on it so that you can actually fit some frame bags and the water bottles in there as well. You can obviously run one off of the seat as well, but this does have pannier mounts on the rear if you need to run panniers as well. So they can take up to about 20 kilos on the panniers, so you know, you pretty much fit anything you want into those. The frame itself is still double butted 3AL 2.5V titanium. We still keep the features such as the tapered head tube, so I think it looks a lot nicer. We've still got the integrated bearings in there as well, so you don't need external bearing cups in there. And we thickened up the stays a little bit because of the weight and the panniers, so it needs to be a little bit more robust because of the sorts of distances and the types of riding and the weight involved on the bike.
Yeah. And in terms of the build, pretty much the customer can have whatever they want, any group set, anything you can build into the bike.
Yeah, right. Because of the versatility of being able to have Di2 or mechanical, or you know, EPS if you wanted to use EPS or ETAP, then it can all be done on this frame. So
fantastic. So this is the bike to look out for. This is the distance road bike, right?
Yeah, that's it. And this bike, as it is, comes in at about 9 kilos, somewhere around the 9 kilo mark. So it's not got particularly light components on it, but it's still full Ultegra Di2. You know, it's a disc road bike. We've got Shimano flat mount braking system on there and our own specific forks, which are all full carbon as well on there. But then obviously when the customer comes to me, they tell me what they want. We can build it, we get the right length cranks, the right length stem, right seat posts for them, right saddle, right width bars, all of that, so we really make it specific
so it
to
really
the customer.
Is almost tailored to fit.
Yeah, exactly.
And in your new premises you can do a lot of the measuring up yourself, can't you, with clients?
Yeah.
And what would the sort of turnaround time be on this particular bike?
So this particular one, the MPA, we're looking at, if a customer came to me on one particular day and said, I want this bike with this spec, we'd do the fit, and then usually it's a couple of weeks after that that they'll come back to receive the bike.
So that's pretty quick. Someone can come down here, have a bike fit, and within a couple of weeks they've almost got a custom built titanium bike that's ready for them.
That's it.
Brilliant.
Yeah. And then if we're going down the custom route where we actually do different drawings for the frame itself, then it's a slightly longer lead time. We're going to add about 6 to 8 weeks on top of that if they're wanting a complete custom frame made.
Okay, so we've just looked at the MPA. We now have the Varu GTA, and obviously, as you can see, it's a little bit different. Looks like this has been getting some use. So yeah, please do tell us a little bit about the gravel bike.
Yeah, this one, the GTA, stands for Gravel Terrain and Adventure. So a slightly different style of bike over the MPA. MPA is more road specific. This one, you can take it off road. It's got slightly different geometry to it. So on this particular one, we run a 395mm axle to crown measurement, so that you can use cyclocross forks in there, so you can fit a bigger tyre in there, which means obviously the front end is a little bit taller.
If someone wasn't familiar with what axle to crown is, how would you just very quickly explain that?
Okay, so the axle to crown measurement is from the centre of the axle going through the hub to the crown, and this part is the crown here. So if you've got a slightly longer fork, you can usually fit, so say for a 29er, for example, we have a much longer axle to crown measurement because you need to run the suspension in there. Road bikes come down so that you can get the front end slightly lower. So that's the axle to crown measurement that I'm talking about. So this one, cyclocross bikes usually run a 395 axle to crown, so that you can fit bigger tyres in there. This one you can fit up to 40C tyres in there, up to 40 tyres. This one, I think these are the Schwalbe G1s, which are more of a gravel sort of tyre. It does depend on brand, what you can fit, the maximum that you can fit in there, but this is sort of the daily bike in use at the moment, as you can see.
Yeah, absolutely. Now cyclocross is just really exploding in the UK and pretty much everywhere at the moment, so
it is.
It's fantastic to see that you have something for that.
So this particular one as well, it means that you can, again, we've got slightly more horizontal top tube on there, so you can fit the frame bags with the water bottles in there. Again, a bit like the MPA. We've got full mudguard mounts if you need it on there, through axles front and back. This particular one is a 1x11 setup. I've set it up Di2 so that you can program the levers to both buttons on this one go down the block, both buttons on this one go up the block. It's quite nice to use with winter gloves as well. And the 1x11 system works fantastically, especially with the absolute black oval chainring in there. That's a really good addition to it. 3AL 2.5V tubing, again, all double butted. And again, the same system that we run on the MPA for the cables, so you can actually run a mechanical cable set, a Di2, internal hydraulic routing to the brake at the back. So again, it's a very versatile bike, but for a slightly different use over the MPA.
I know you said sometimes some of your customers are not sure whether to go for the MPA or the GTA, and I think this would be a really good time to just explain the sort of basic differences between the two.
So, first of all, again, it's the axle to crown measurement that we were talking about. The frame is set up for a different style of geometry, so you get a more relaxed handling on this over the sort of road bike. Again, you've got longer chain stays on there as well, so the wheelbase is slightly longer than you would normally have on a road bike. So really, other than those two bits and pieces, there's not a huge amount of difference. But again, one is more suited to the road, one is more suited to go slightly more off-road.
Brilliant.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare.
Okay, so when you and I, James, were at the Roulette Classic recently, for me, and I think for a lot of other people, the bike of the show was your custom sprayed Octane 6.4. Now, how long does it take, and what is involved with doing something like this to the bike? It's incredible.
Well, when I heard that we were going to exhibit up at the show, I thought I've got to do a couple of showstoppers, which are just incredible to look at. And I work with Alistair from Fat Creations. He taught me to paint 20 odd years ago now. So paintwork is something I'm quite passionate about. These two bikes between them have got over 120 hours in the paintwork alone. So there's a lot of effort goes into it. But as a result of that, we did get picked up on the media when we were up there, so that was a really good result. So this one, for example, this is the Octane 6.4. It's a custom one, which is ETAP specific, 6AL4V tube set with Syncross bars on there, one of my seat posts, a fabric saddle. This one, as it is, just weighs 7.1 kilos, so it's a pretty good weight on there, and we've got the MV wheels on there as well. So doing something like this, you need a bit of inspiration to start with. So this one actually came from a 1965 Ford Mustang, which was painted in a similar colours with some stripes going over the bonnet. So that was the inspiration for this bike. So you get onto the computer, you start playing around with different colours, different sort of schemes, I guess, of what looks good next to each other, and then you actually need to start doing it. So all the graphics get cut on the computer as well with a vinyl plotter. The frame goes down to the blasters. It gets blasted so that the primer will adhere to the frame, and then it's just a very long process of laying down paint, graphics, more paint, lacquer it, flat it, polish it. So that sounds fairly simple, but it's actually quite a laborious process on there to get a finish like this. The last stage is really key as well. When you flatten and polish the lacquer, that's what really makes it look like glass. So yeah, there were, in my opinion, there weren't many bikes that were painted to this level at the show. There were some, but you know, I had some really good comments on these, and a lot of people touching them and asking how you get this sort of finish on there. So yeah.
So if anyone wants to find out a little bit more about what we've spoken about today, the MPA, the GTA, or indeed the custom paint jobs, where would the best place be to go? Would it be the website?
Yeah. So on our website, if you wanted to see more about the custom paint, we've got an inspiration tab on our website where you can see some previous work that we've done for customers, or just send me an email, james@varucycles.com, and we've got a live chat on the website as well, so if I'm around I can always interact with you that way if you're on the other side of the world. So yeah, any of those ways, just get.
Because actually I think recently quite a few bikes have gone out to Australia, am I right?
Yeah, we've had Australia, we've had Belgium, there's one possibly just about to go out to Singapore as well. So yeah, there's various little spots around the world that they're going out to.
And now you're in your new premises, you can actually invite customers down to have a look, and for a custom fitting, and away we go. It's brilliant.
Exactly.
Right, James, well, thank you for having us today.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for coming down.